Miami, 50-50% of my time. A lot of time in Silicon Valley. But currently, I'm spending my quarantine in Mexico City.
Oh,
You're
nice.
back in Mexico for quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same. The only advantage is like if someone close to my circle of my family or like Latin American team gets an emergency, we can react faster. So it was kind of this stuff, and we discovered a lot of things. Remote has been something like we've been testing for a long time, but not 100%. And now we're fully convinced that it brings some advantages.
That's really interesting. Awesome. Yep. So we've got. I'm sure, obviously, when we go through and you guys kind of say a bit, we'll show where everybody's from. So we've got Guatemala, Mexico City, Birmingham, Brazil, Venezuela, and whereabouts are you, Tony, at the moment? Hang on, you're muted at the moment.
London.
In London. Very exotic. So hi to those just joining in. We're just having a few minutes to get everything ready and together. Bruna, is Fernando joining?
Yes, he is. He was in an appointment until 1 p.m. here in Brazil, so he's probably coming.
Okay, awesome, fantastic.
We have Olivia here, Daniel, from the GP as well. Hello, Olivia.
Hi there. Sorry,
Hi,
I'm on an old computer with no.
So Olivia is very
camera.
focused on impact investing and also on Latin America for the Global Entrepreneur Program. So it's good to have her here.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Right, we'll just give things a couple more minutes to get settled in, and then we'll make a bit of a start. Just having to juggle a couple of things. Okay, so that's done. Just need to share this. So I'm going to just share my screen very quickly. So it's going to be a couple more minutes, everybody. So make sure you got a drink, get comfortable, and we'll start shortly. So I think I just had a message through from someone about problem with the link. So I'm just going to check that, see what's going on there. Okay, so that has gone now. Yeah, just a small problem. Some people hadn't, for some reason, received the link. Okay, we'll just give it one more minute, guys, and then we'll make a start. So I'll reshare my screen. Present. The YouTube stream also running. Yes, it is. Okay, 30 more seconds. Okay, here we go. Okay, we'll make a start. There's a couple more people I think due to come in, but I'll just run through the bits that I was going to do ahead of the session, and then we'll take a dive in. So thank you everybody for coming today to exploring Latin American entrepreneurship. Really excited about this event. We've got some fantastic speakers from right across the Latin American region joining us today. Many of whom we've had the pleasure of working with in different capacities. So I'm really excited to hear exactly what they've got to say today. At the end as well, we'll have a bit of a discussion between the speakers, chance for people to ask questions, and hopefully get a real insight into the different countries in Latin America, what entrepreneurship looks like in those countries, and some of the work that's going on out there. Just as a very quick rundown in terms of who we are. So for people that haven't engaged with us before, Birmingham Enterprise Community is an organization that supports entrepreneurs right from concept and idea phase all the way through to scale. We do this for a range of programs that we run, and we support entrepreneurs from across multiple sectors. We're sector agnostic, and also, as you'll see from some of the entrepreneurs today, across the globe as well. So whether you are in the UK, whether you're in Latin America or further afield, there's definitely things that we can do to support you on your entrepreneurial journey. One of which is our Startup Sprint program, which is a month-long program for entrepreneurs that are just getting started out. So helping them to explore the fundamentals of starting a business. We take applications for this on a rolling basis. The next program will begin in January. And on our website, we've got a lot of information about exactly what this program contains. The other program that we're currently recruiting for is our Forward Accelerator program. You're about to hear from a couple of our current Forward participants today, and also one of our Forward mentors, with Felipe. We are looking for high growth scale-ups, high potential businesses from anywhere in the world to come and join our 6-month accelerator program. Again, there's a lot of information on the website that tells you the details about exactly what kind of support we offer, and what it's like to be part of this community. Always open to have conversations, answer questions about all this support. But obviously you've not come to hear me talk about this today. You've come to hear from some of our entrepreneurs and friends. So I am going to not say too much more for now. We are going to run through a couple of presentations by some of those we have in attendance today. And then, as I said, at the end, we will have an opportunity for questions, discussion, and as well as the guests on the panel. I'd really encourage you all to share some insights on these topics we're covering today. So first up, we have Alejandro. So I'm gonna pass straight over to you, let you introduce yourself and go for it.
Hello, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We have people from all the world, and although it's challenging presenting on these times and not seeing the people in front of you, it's great to have this as type of assistance and be able to share a little bit about what we think, because it's our own perspective of the Latin American environment, and as well coming from Costa Rica, originally born and raised, and now working here in the UK. We see what's scaling up the company. Having these perspectives on how the environment for startups and the environment for new opportunities looks like, how it looks like during the pandemic and during the common times. So let me share the screen. Basically, I am the co-founder and CEO of Cibo. And at Cibo, what we do is creating thoughtful innovations. Me and my co-founder started a company as Costa Rican's a company 2 years ago, back in Costa Rica. It started with the purpose of solving malnutrition and food scarcity at that point. We understood that basically what we were eating was killing us, and we needed a solution towards the food industry. So we decided, instead of finding the behavior and fighting the food industry, get a collaboration strategy, so we could create a difference between the basis of the food production. So basically, I don't know if you are very familiar with the raw materials and food ingredients that we use in the food industry, but basically everything that we eat is coming from one place, and that place is the raw material industry. And this industry is extracting materials like sugar, salt, and other of the materials that you see on everything that you eat, but also on everything that is packaging the materials. For example, I have here one of our products, and as you can see, this product is going to have common packaging, it's going to have a label, and it's going to have what is inside. Everything that we do is focused on solving these three main challenges: what is inside of the package, what is around the package, and what is in front of the package. So what we do is focus on collaboration. So CIBO has the purpose of leading the food industry to a sustainable future, and we do it by creating these innovative biomaterials to solve this whole problem. So we work with universities, with food tech startups, and with the food industry to create these solutions towards a greener future. We have an expertise on biomaterials and raw materials, but also we have an expertise on scaling the production. And we do this by partnering with families in rural areas of the countries, so we can create a 50-ton fair trade supply chain while solving the problems of unemployment, food scarcity, malnutrition at the same time. So we do licensing, we do RD&I collaborations. We are open to do joint ventures in the future and some product co-developments. These are the four main challenges that we're trying to solve, which are food waste, plastic waste. Then we have the greenhouse emissions, and then we have the food scarcity. I don't know if you know this, but if you don't, you should by now. By 2050, the amount of food available for the whole world will not be enough. So we started looking for a solution towards this area, and that's when we found insects. But how do we do it? Well, we started in Costa Rica, as I mentioned before, and this year we became CIBO. But in Costa Rica, we partner with families in rural areas of the country, and we have this insect supply chain, diversification, growth, and that way we can increase the impact. The second area is what we are doing here in the UK, that we are diversifying the uses of the insects and putting it into market with our trademark BeeBite. So this is our food market access and revenue driver strategy. And finally, we are already creating and working towards our biotech area, which is creating the future of the food industry. New materials like our entoplastic, as you can see here on the right. On the left, we have the snack line, which is already into the market, and the entoplastic, which is a biopolymer made with insect byproducts. No waste, no plastic, no composing, and no problem. And then we're going to have this protein extract that we're working on as well, which is going to create an accessibility towards protein and more healthy products in the future. But the most interesting part of this is that it's completely naturally produced. The protein quality is even better than the other solutions that you can see in the market. Yes, even better than plant-based. We have a water-soluble solution, a water usage per kilogram of protein of 1 liter, and a CO2 emissions per kilogram of protein that is around half of kilogram. But the most important is no waste. So with our amazing team, our board members coming from Google and Unilever, together with Daniela, my co-founder, and myself, and this support network, we have been able to come from Costa Rica towards the UK and towards the world to make an idea, a vision, become actually a reality during a pandemic. But let's talk a little bit about the challenges that we had in this journey and why we came into the UK, why Europe, why we do it that way. Many of the questions that we get from investors are, why don't you get investors in Costa Rica? Why don't you do it there? Wouldn't that be easier? Or why don't you focus on staying in Costa Rica so you don't have to export the products and have this separation of operations in different locations? Well, my answer is we have challenges and we have to overcome those challenges in different ways. What we have in Latin America is that we have creativity, resilience, and diversity of cultures. So we are always looking for a different type of solution. We are not going to stay there just waiting for the perfect moment to come in. And that basically the feeling that you get during this pandemic is the feeling that we have on our current, on the daily basis. People get this around whole Latin America with different realities in different countries. But at the end of the day, that's the thing that we have behind us, the creativity, resilience, and cultures. But we do have a lot of challenges. Mainly, I would like to focus on the challenging investment schemes where we have a lot of, yes, a lot of new funds, but those funds are focusing on being sharks. And in this case, being a shark in a shark tank is not that good for an entrepreneur. So we are looking for partners when we get an investor. We're not looking for sharks. We're not looking for someone who's going to steal a lot. Instead, we're looking to create more impact. We're looking to create something, a collaboration strategy, something that is going to grow a lot. That is something that we get a lot of challenge on, but also the bureaucracy. And these usually difficults the whole startup investment scheme and also how fast you can grow. But something really interesting is the cultural differences. So here, of course, with the whole pandemic now is more difficult to travel, but even in Latin America, it was already very difficult. Pretty much you need sometimes a visa to travel to a country that is next to yours. And the countries are really far away. So you just have the possibility to go by plane. And all of those challenges difficult the commerce and also the acceptability between different countries. Specifically for Costa Rica, we have here basically pros and cons. In Costa Rica, we are very proud of nature. We are very proud of the golden age that we had in Costa Rica around 30 to 40 years ago, where the social rights were one of the biggest things that we had. The army was abolished. So yes, we don't have an army. The president at that point decided that our army should be education, should be the little kids going to school, and instead getting a lot of people educated so we can fight with our brains instead of arms. So basically, in Costa Rica, with the nature that we have 5% of the world's biodiversity in a small country, which is like a seventh of the UK. So that is very, very small. And we have 2 oceans as well. We have the perfect weather environment all year long. I know you complain a lot about the weather here. Well, we do it as well because it rains a lot, but it's always green. And we have people with a lot of skills. Since we don't have an army, we have a lot of people going to college. We have a lot of people with technical knowledge. And we have volcanoes, we have mountains, we have rivers. We have 99% of our electricity coming from renewable sources. And although we have all of those, we still have a lack of startup ecosystem. So if you go there, going into an accelerator doesn't mean anything. There is no connections that you can get with other type of investors unless you go out of the country. Therefore, I'm here. Also, the taxes and the high costs. Costa Rica is as expensive as Europe, and we have the conditions on the streets of a third world country. So it is really expensive. You pay in taxes, but you don't get anything back. And once you're an entrepreneur, that you are bootstrapping, then you have the challenge on how do you live, how do you can create a company that is being taxed from day one, that is getting the same taxes as the corporations. And then that's where you see the corruption. So the whole system is backwards, but we do have this potential to change it. And honestly, from my point of view, I think what we're doing at Sigo is creating that base and that platform and connecting people with, like we're doing here with different locations in Latin America, with the UK, with the rest of Europe. Then we're going to be able to switch the mentality and create more opportunities. But the opportunity is there for investors. The opportunity is there for other entrepreneurs. And I think in a couple of years, hopefully it's not going to take that long, but we are going to be able to build this ecosystem that I wish for. So that's what we do at CIBO. That's what we do in Costa Rica. And basically, if you have any questions or anything else that you would like to support us to create this environment, just shoot me an email. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Sorry, this is the problem when you've got somebody sat behind you. He may be Costa Rica, but he is currently here. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Alejandro. What we'll do is questions we'll save for a little bit later on. Get through some of these talks first, and then we'll do some questions at the end. So with that, I'm going to jump straight on to the guys from Vortex. So Fernando and Bruna, the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. My name is Bruna. I'm 24 and I'm Brazilian. And I am part of Vortex, that is a student organization here in Brazil that we have created for 4 months, so from today. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about it, okay? Vortex, as I said, is an entrepreneurship school organization that aims to connect and empower future entrepreneurs, inspiring change here in Brazil, in our communities, in our universities, and etc. Well, first of all, our main goal is to connect these societies from all over the country, and what a big country, and promote the occurrence of events, projects, and benchmarking between them. Here in Brazil, we have seen the junior enterprises since 2010 having a more organized movement, but we didn't have this sort of institution or something to help the societies and support the societies here in Brazil. Seeing this gap, we created Vortex to support and inspire and help these societies, because we saw this huge gap, because we had some societies in very good universities that were nice and going well, but we also had some societies that were struggling to discover how to work, sometimes even looking like an enterprise, a junior enterprise, and we came to help them in this process. So we have some processes inside Vortex to help these societies, and one of these is the acceleration program that we have. One of our members helps the societies with mentoring in different areas as organization development, people management, content training, connection, inspiration. So we bring the societies together and say, well, what can we do together? Sometimes in a city, for example, we have an ecosystem that is born in São Paulo, one of our major, one of our biggest cities here. And these societies are working together to work on diversity inside these societies, because sometimes we have a lot of people that are men, sometimes everybody's rich and white. So we are working on it together. Everybody saw this problem. And we also have sometimes ecosystems that brings societies from a same area. For example, we have a health society, we have a health ecosystem that is, it's a newborn actually, it's in its very beginning. So it's a lot of medicine societies who are not only starting right now, they are very new, but also getting inspiration from another societies who already exist in these areas. So our goal is to bring the entrepreneurship to these students, independent of the area, in the health area or in the law or in engineering. I am a geographer, so it's very versatile and we can be everywhere. Well, for those ecosystems that we are bringing together, we want them to become entrepreneurs or problem solvers. So we are helping them to inspire in each other works and start new projects in their cities or in their societies, or even see what they can do in their community, because sometimes it's everything going well in the university and they can help some schools in their city, or now in the pandemics we are doing a lot of content on internet, so we are giving these people things to think about, or we're talking about startups and business finances. And after this, I think when this is over, we can meet together and bring more and more projects together, because we're going to have we're going to know what we need to put these things in practical. So Vortex is this organization. We are learning from our mistakes and starting from now. I don't know if Fernando already arrived, because I am in my cell phone, but he's here right here. Okay, first, so you can go on and talk a little more about entrepreneurship in Brazil.
Hi everyone, my name is Fernando Guerreiro. I am 19 years old and I am economics undergraduate of a Brazilian Federal University. We are here with 3 Vortex founders. Marcelo is a founder of Vortex too. I will explain a little bit of Vortex International, and then Marcelo, present yourself. In Vortex, in my university, I founded an entrepreneurship organization, and with Bruna and Marcelo and other friends, Brazilians too, we founded the Vortex in May. In Vortex, we have a project called What You Need to Know About Entrepreneurship Around the World. How can I say that our Spanish is spoken here? Yo voy a hablar en español también, como es el nombre del proyecto. Ese proyecto es ¿Por qué hojar los ecosistemas emprendedores por los países? In this project, we invite entrepreneurs, students, and researchers around the world to talk with us about their country, entrepreneurship, and innovation ecosystem. We made these lives on YouTube to talk about this worldwide ecosystem. We did about Japan, Mozambique, England with Daniel, Canada, Uruguay. We have done these episodes in 3 languages: Portuguese, Spanish, and English. We did this because we saw this necessity to talk about the ecosystems with students, because in Brazil, we don't have an easy way to speak with ecosystems and how to create and make this ecosystem strongly with us students. In next Tuesday, October 28th, we will do a live about the Indian ecosystem in English, and another in Spanish about the Mexican ecosystem. If you want to show this, I will put in the comments on YouTube and in the Zoom too, because we'll be so glad to have another persons in these lives and another ecosystem. And in the Indian ecosystem, we will talk with the founder of 100 open startups, and it will be so exciting. If you want to do your presentation, Marcelo, go on.
Hi everyone, my name is Marcelo, and like Fernanda said, I'm one of the co-founder of Vortex. And something I want to say, like, to complete something that Bruna just said, is that Brazil is a huge continental country. So for us, it's really difficult to unite these societies, these entrepreneurship scholar societies, because there's a lot of different realities between our states, our cities, our regions. So for us, it's really difficult to unite everything. Like Bruna said, São Paulo is the biggest city in Brazil, like Rio de Janeiro or Brasilia. And there is the biggest entrepreneurship ecosystem. So it's kind of easy to unite the societies in there. But what about the other states and other areas like Northeast or Amazonia, Amazon forest, for example? There are cities in there, there are universities in there, and what can we do to unite and to inspire them with entrepreneurship? So the Vortex is starting studying the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So we kind of discovered that there is a lot of things, a lot of variables that, how can I say it, that make really healthy and really develop an entrepreneurship system. And university is a huge part of this. So for us, we want to develop our country thinking as a basis of it, entrepreneurship and universities. So this is the main idea of Vortex. We want to develop our country with universities who work with entrepreneurship and these societies. So it's only a student movement that we are organizing. We just started now. So for us, it's really interesting. We have this kind of interaction with other ecosystem, like Fernanda said, with International Vortex, our project with lives and different lectures from everyone around the world. And it's really important to have this, and because Brazil is the only country in Latin America who speaks Portuguese. So the other countries all speak Spanish. So we want to speak Spanish too. We want to communicate with them. We want to create this network because for us, it's really important to do that, to develop our countries. I mean, Latin America has no developed country. I mean, it's not like countries in Europe or countries in north of the world. For us, we have a lot of problems and issues we have to solve. And our vision is that entrepreneurship and this network, this kind of connections makes the difference. So we believe in it, and we are doing the best to unite our country, to unite our university, and create a real health entrepreneurship system. So I think that.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much. I think that a lot of times when we do workshops, events like this, the grassroots movements really get neglected and missed. Initiatives like these guys are running, you know, are vital for igniting that entrepreneurial spark in people. Without that, the rest of things wouldn't happen. And I think for these guys, you know, they're a young bunch of students to come in and speak with you guys and present that. You know, well done, guys. You've done a really good job there. So thank you very much. So
for the invitation, Daniel.
Thank you, guys. So we will move back on. Again, questions we'll put towards the end. Felipe, all yours.
Sure. Let me share a little about my perspective on entrepreneurship. Also, on my screen about what about our company. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. Just let me know.
Yep, can see that.
Awesome. So our story actually begins in UK. Something that we need to consider as a Latin American entrepreneur is that, as Marcelo said, the communities are not fully developed and the countries are lacking of accesses. So most of the entrepreneurship is happening in these big cities, but also we have a lot of like influence from US, especially Silicon Valley. So the whole thing was about like how can we start recreating these ecosystems within the different countries. My story is not different. I was a student in Mexico trying to solve difficult problems. Latin America has been always this place full of opportunities or full of problems, whatever you want to analyze this situation, right? And as an entrepreneur, you always look for opportunities. It's something in our mind that wants to solve things. Some of them because they really were good when they were kids with Legos, and they like to play with like little components to solve things. Our history is beginning in UK when I was doing a master degree in business in Warwick University. Long story short, we started developing like technology to identify what people are consuming on internet, but also what they want to see. And that end up being funded in Silicon Valley. And then we create Uamo Media. This is the inspiration for Latin women. The concept is a digital hub to talk about the daily life content, but the secret is basically technology. So what we do is just connect a super passionate audience with brands that want to get like in that conversation, and the secret sauce is the different algorithms we use to get like data intelligence behind it. So a lot of the problems in Latin America are related with old school industries. A lot of these industries that been like executing their processes like for decades, and most of the disruptions happening right now are related with these startups trying to do the same process but with a technological component that is making possible to execute in a really short period of time. And that was also part of our history. So in this community, we talk about daily life basically, and the components of this company are divided in three, like the technology platforms we built to analyze more, production house, which is this old school component that we want to disrupt, and finally a distribution channel with Facebook, Instagram, websites, all related in a specific point. We have different clients around Latin America and the US Hispanics, and the audience is one of the biggest right now for Latin woman online. Between Facebook, we have the largest audience that speaks Spanish, fully focused on young female, with a little more than 40 million people. Instagram getting close to the 3 million mark, and also our website with different kind of content. The demographics are quite similar to what we're watching in the different countries. The difference between Europe and Latin America is quite evident. This population is young. Most of them are living their 20s, their 30s, and the involvement. And this is funny. Something that we discover about our audience and the rest of the entrepreneurship movement in Latin America is that currently is female lead. So we're quite happy about that. Latin America is one of the places in the world where the gender gap is huge. Talking about like salaries, workforce, entrepreneurship, and it's coming from a lot of different cultural habits, bad customs, and also this kind of machist concept that is being like really rooted in the culture. But currently, we're watching this. We are just one of the first guys in front of this movie, watching the evolution, but also the revolution of what is the female empowerment movement. And it feels so good to live in this time, to see all of these changes happening in the region, but also to be able to like provide and empower more women trying to change their realities. Um, Finally, the distribution of this company is in all the continent, especially US, Mexico, and Brazil are our main markets, with a lot of share in those markets. And that's pretty much it about Yuamo Media. Then I also want to talk on my position with Latin America entrepreneurship. If you have any questions about Yuamo Media, please feel free to place them in the chat, and also we're gonna go after them at the end of this discussion. So the only two other topics I want to share with you guys are related with this set of opportunities. On one side is all the different opportunities that have been existing there for a long time, and they need a solution, right? With the creation of the SoftBank fund, supported by the founder of SoftBank, Son, we got this kind of validation that we've been waiting for maybe a decade. My history as an entrepreneur started in 2010, and before that I've been like doing a lot of entrepreneurship stuff, but nothing related with high scalable technology. And Mexico particularly was difficult because you cannot find this set of investors. Different from my experience in UK and my experience in Silicon Valley, you cannot go to one specific city and expect that you can pitch your idea to get at least feedback. There are no such a centers that you can go and gather with people that understand what is this you're talking about. The second stuff is like they don't have the funding. The money doesn't exist. And they exist in traditional funding vehicles like family offices, but normally they put their money on real estate. That's the normal for, well, that was the normal for many years. Currently, all of this has changed, not only in Mexico, but the rest of Latin America. More and more, we're watching this set of news on Crunchbase, Contexto, or every other like a media publishing, talking about this new unicorn that is coming out of Brazil, Colombia, or Mexico. And one of the most representative ones are Rappi from Colombia, like having a multi-billion dollar valuation, or the most recent one in Mexico that we finally got our first unicorn called Kavak. No one expected that one of the unicorns are going to be related with selling cars, second-hand cars that can build a billion-dollar company, especially coming out of the pandemic, right? So my first point is related with this change of like new creation of resources, access to things like education, funding, and a place to talk with other peers about this idea is critical. And finally, it's happening. Not only happening, but getting validated by a lot of investment in the region. The second one that I want to put on the table for discussion is for each of the current panelists. I want to know, like in the discussion section, how difficult was for you guys to start. I already heard about Alejandro's story, that he pretty much concluded that staying in his country it's going to be a huge burden to take off the business. Though, well, that was also my story. If I stay in Mexico, there was no chance to get access to all of these opportunities. So I needed to migrate. And then I went to UK to get better education. And then I went to Silicon Valley to get better funding. And then finally, I'm back to my own country, because something that I have seen in different entrepreneurs from Latin America is this passion they have for their own country. Like I see Fernando and Bruna talking about it with a lot of passion to say, I want to make this better, right? So I'm pretty happy to see like a lot of these young entrepreneurs are getting finally funding and accesses, but also we need to consider that the path is not the same as other parts in the world. It's not like I'm a European guy, I get to Berlin to this accelerator program, or I go to Paris to go to the station to get supported by L'Oreal, like this, right? It's on a website, I apply, it's no more 4 weeks, the process, and in 2 months, I already know if I have the opportunity or not. Here, there is not a lot of documentation on how to do it. There is not like a lot of role models to follow, and there is no clarity on pretty much what I should do as an entrepreneur. So happy, guys, to see all of you find your way to launch your initiatives. Also, big congratulations to Fernando and the Fernando team, including Bruna, that you also want to help more people. And Daniel, that is something that I was not expecting when I received this invitation, like initiatives that have been always related in UK, now getting a spotlight in Latin America. It proves something. These changes are happening. So thank you, guys. Let's continue.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Felipe. Really enjoyed that. I'm just going to switch the order the last two around, just because I know Daniel's got something he's got to shoot off to in about 40 minutes. We should be fine on timing, but we're just about 5 minutes or so over what I had scheduled. So Daniel, can I ask you to go next, and then we'll finish off with Javier before having a group discussion.
Yes, of course. So hi everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, surrounded by like-minded people, and also like bullish of entrepreneurship and VC. So yeah, thanks everybody for the time. I have a little. Yes, I'm gonna show you this. Have this small presentation really quick about the ecosystem. So I'm gonna start with myself. I graduated from Universidad Francisco Marroquín, which is a libertarian university. I'm also part of Invariantes Fund, which is Guatemala's first early stage fund, VC fund as well. Also part of Invercorp International, which is a multifamily office. And also I'm a founding member of CAPCA, which is Central America Private Capital Association, which is, like you guys were saying, what we are launching in order to have some place to get the info, you know, like, for example, there's PECAP in Peru, LATCA, which is the Latin American Association, COLCAL, which is the Colombian one. So now we're starting the Central American one. And yeah, so it's starting to talk about the ecosystem. So I have this little fact, which is that in 2019, a lot of co-investments were made, which this signals like the introduction of other players around the world. Like you were saying, that the SoftBank did like started to open a bridge, and now we are seeing other players coming, like a lot of funds from the US, like top tier funds, starting to make some investments in LATAM. So yeah, pretty bullish about that. Also in 2019, it was a record year for fundraising in Latin America. There was 1 billion raised across 28 funds, almost doubling from 2018. This is in part with, we're seeing players like Kazakh Ventures based in Argentina raising a $6 million fund which is something that I mean, it's like a real achievement and milestone here for Latin America. And yeah, we also see in SoftBank also becoming LPs in other funds like Valor Capital and Kazakh Ventures, which is also signaling how they really want to participate here. So yeah, just starting to see a little bit more. Of course, Latin America is a land of opportunity. In terms of demographic, the median age is 27 years. Enrollment in higher education has almost doubled. We have a growing middle class that is starting to become a consumer class. So like we're setting this market into, like we're seeing China now and Asia also becoming consumers of their own products. And so yeah, we are seeing that here in Latin America. In terms of opportunities, I just have a few, like fintech. We have a lot of underbanked people. That's a reality. A lot of small business cannot access capital in an efficient way. There's no capital markets almost in any country here. In terms of blockchain, the typical opportunities in terms of decentralizations of institutional monopolies, like yeah, the institutions here and corruption is one of our biggest challenges. Automation and robotics, Internet of Things, mobile applications. Since the penetration of smartphones in Latin America, it's real high, and we're seeing that across the globe. And also agtech, since we are a highly agricultural continent. So yeah, lots of opportunities. In terms of challenges ahead, like Felipe, I'm sorry, it was Felipe, like he was saying, historically, we've been risk averse in terms of investing, investing mostly in safe assets such as real estate. Also, lack of financial education, it's also one of our biggest challenges. The corruption and lack of institutional trust, and it's I mean, obviously one of the major risks in making business. Also, making IPOs in Latin America is almost impossible. There are no stock markets in Latin America. So if you are trying to go to the IPO kind of things, like you gotta go to the States, and obviously now there you're competing with other type of companies. So yeah, and also the exit strategies, I think they are key to promoting investment in startups. Like Felipe was saying, we need more people to look up, like even these kind of heroes, you know, like inspire us, and in order to make our ventures. And now I'm having the fundraising by country, also by funds, and also in terms of the amount raised. We're seeing there that Brazil, it's one of the biggest players, raising the 35% of the funds. The regional funds, which invest all over LATAM, it's like the typical vehicle in the way that investments are made. It's also the ones that are taking the most capital. In terms of funds, there were 12 regional fundraisers, 10 only invested in Brazil, 4 Mexican, and 1 Chilean. So we're having, it was kind of interesting to see that, for example, in regional funds, there was a decrease in the amount raised, but also it was a huge increase in Brazil, a decrease in Mexico. So we're seeing there that the cycle of raising funds also plays an important role here. In terms of investments, this is pretty amazing to see, right? I mean, from 1.9 billion raised invested in 2018 to 4.6 billion, it's a huge increase. Also, we managed to see here that amount invested was in fewer companies than in 2018. So we're starting to see bigger rounds. For example, the fully entry, right, into Rappi, also made 13 investments, deploying almost 2.5 billion. So yeah, we're seeing like more mature companies reaching that stage that obviously makes it interesting for everybody. In terms of the stage, well, we're seeing the rise in pre-seed in Mexico and Brazil, and also in Colombia, which this signaling how the ecosystems are evolving. You know, like Mexico, of course, it's impressive how the policy and the public policy has been bullish about entrepreneurship and like growing the VC ecosystem, and this can translate here in the pre-seed and early stage deals that were made. Brazil, of course, taking the biggest part. Well, this is from some of the most active deal makers in Latin America, with Canary, Domo Invest, Cusp Venture, Redport Venture. That if you see here, this is not a LATAM fund; it's a US fund. So also interesting to see that it's been one of the most active funds here. Investment by country, like I was saying, Brazil with 222 deals. Colombia got the second spot in amounts invested, but with fewer deals. This is thanks to that you were saying Rappi, and Colombia is also because of Rappi. We are seeing now bigger ticket rounds in Colombian startups, better entrepreneurs. So yeah. In terms of sector, this is pretty amazing to see that IT and technology pretty much gets the whole pie, which also means that there's opportunity in the other sectors, right? But we're being bullish to tech. Also makes sense. It's the easier way to start a company, right? And in terms of recent exits, like Felipe was saying, the case of Kavak, it's a really interesting story because well, there's always been like the exit point, for example, in Mexican funds that they have some big funds, and now they're starting to see their companies mature. So we're starting to see like, okay, now it's gonna be real. Like, what are gonna be the exits? So Kavak, for example, it's an interesting story since the exit was from a sale to SoftBank and General Atlantic, that are bigger funds that want to take that pie. So yeah, we're seeing that, for example, in the pension funds of Mexico, they are being interested in acquiring these companies and taking this part, and then many private equities investors also starting to look this. So I think this is pretty interesting for the ecosystem in LATAM. You know, like we're starting to see that. Yeah, we are starting to see players that can take you to the whole hockey stick, you know, and take you to the IPO. That it's what pretty much everyone wants, but it's not that. We're seeing the emergence and acquisitions ecosystem starting to flourish. So yeah, I think that because of this, and of course because of people like you guys, I'm pretty bullish of the ecosystem in LATAM. So yeah, I wanted to make it short in order to have some times for questions. So there you go.
Awesome, Daniel. Thank you very much. As you can see, we're building up a picture of the LATAM region from a variety of different perspectives, from entrepreneurs, from the funding side, from the grassroots side, with the Vortex guys, and we're going to have one final short talk before we go into some questions and discussion. So Javier, take it away.
All right. Let me share my screen. So, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Soro. I am a Eurocommittee CEO. I live in Caracas. Thank you, Daniel, for this invitation to talk about how is being an entrepreneur in Venezuela and our own journey. I want to take just 10 minutes to introduce to all these content. So let's start. What is agrocognitive? Let's talk about the problem. The 80% of the food production is grown by family farmers. They don't have the proper tools, even the technology, to face today's agriculture challenge. Every season, they spend more and more money in chemicals, not yielding in better harvest, nor mitigate crops affectation. But sadly, they are damaging the soil and the environment surrounding. So agrocognitive is an affordable precision agriculture platform to give insight to farmers and automate all the farming process to allow them reduce chemical usage and increase the yields. How it works? To start using agrocognitive, farmers enter the polygon coordinates of their farm. This platform gets images to monitor the crop. We build a status profile, and then during the growing season, we can send alarms if any affectation is detected and provide some kind of best action prescriptions. By the other hand, customer can record their everyday farming activity using an app, and this data combined with weighted information and forecast allow them to get insight about how well are they doing and send alarms if they exceed chemical usage. We have exciting new feature coming like soil analysis and eventually have an agro input remote application services. We expect to launch them by 2022. Agrocognitive is the best choice for small farmers, but also for cooperative and the food industry. Just in Latin America, this market is huge. There are 55 million farmers and million of hectares for each crop type. This is an example of the market size and our target for sugarcane crops. That is pretty huge. Our purpose is to enable a food production model, a new food production model with triple impact: sustainable for the planet, more food for the people, and a good revenue for farmers. Our business model is pretty simple. It's just a subscription. We include an affiliate plan. We are affordable for every farmer size. Farmers don't need to do any capital investment to use our platform. We allow them to take care of the environment while still profiting. Although there are a lot of competitors in our region and in the world, agrocognitive is a full farming automation platform that evolves thanks to its AI engine, which learns with every use. That is very important because we are talking about data. Data is our raw material. So I would like to share some words about our journey. We started in 2017, identified the root causes for poor food production in our country, designed a prototype to test an AI engine visual recognition for crops. At the end of that year, we won the People's Choice Award in AI Latin American contest. In 2018, we signed some collaboration agreement with ecosystem to start some drone surveys and train our engine with sugarcane crops in that moment. Suddenly in August came the prohibition. The government established a prohibition to fly drones, and it's stopping our work and forced us to switch to satellite technology. And 2019, we reached our first MVP, and we attend to acceleration program, Accelerate 2030, in the national stage, and then we won a seat in the global cohort. Now in 2020, agrocognitive is incorporated in London, UK, as part of becoming a UK Global Entrepreneur Program alumni, and we released during the quarantine, we released our second MVP. Actually, we have partnership with some technology vendors like IBM, Amazon Web Services, commercial agreements in Paraguay, and we have a new collaboration to bring agrocognitive to 5 Latin American countries with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture. Right now, we have on board 45 family farmers testing our platform and 1 cooperative that includes more than 300 farmers. I'm proud to introduce very fast our team, our scale-up team. We have been working together for 5 years. So our commitment, experience, and leadership is our best presentation card. Some words about what is going in Venezuela and the entrepreneurship. So the local entrepreneurship is mainly focuses in this sector, the general services like marketing, legal, consulting, transport, logistics, the tourings, eco-touring, hosting, the food and beverage, the restaurant, gastronomy labs, snack, dessert, the distillers, the room, bottled cocktail, IT services, web design, digital design, software as a service, platform as a service. Some pretty amazing 3D printing and robotics startups. Of course, the agribusiness. We have a startup working in agri inputs, consulting, feeding system, crop protection, harvesting services. A recent very interesting fact is about the entrepreneur profile, because it's not only reserved to young and adult people with education. Seniors have been joining. And why? We think that they need to improve family revenues. Remember that Venezuela is in a deep economical crisis with a high inflation. So the salary income is practically zero. So, and the retired seniors have a very weak social security for them. So this scenario may look sad, but it's very interesting to build a new startup tissue in a country that is precisely needing that. Just to finish, I would like to introduce some organization acting as a private initiative to promote the entrepreneurship in Venezuela. First, this list is not exhaustive. I just chose some of the remarkable organizations working in Venezuela for acceleration process, ECOEN, Impact Hub Caracas, Caracas Valley, for incubation, Fundación Empresas Polar, Emprende. Emprende is an initiative from the best or the most important business school in Venezuela, IESA, the Azoka program, the Centro Lira. And we have some amazing local idea or pitching contests like Reto U, Concurso Idea. The Citibank has an award, an annual award for the startups. And from the international initiative acting here, we have Accelerate 2030, the Startup Weekend, Star, Better Together Challenge, and the Entrepreneurship World Cup. So 10 minutes. Thank you for your time, and now I open to answer any question when Daniel give the time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Javier, thank you very much. And before we jump into questions and discussion, thank you to all those that have just gave a short talk. Some really great insights there over a lot of different things. If anybody does have a question that pops into the mind, please feel free to use the chat. To those of you watching on YouTube as well, we are monitoring the chat on YouTube. So even if you put it on there, we'll pick that question up. At this point, I am going to bring in one of our other guests as well, and I'm going to give the first question to him. Tony, well, 2 questions, I guess. Firstly, I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself to everybody. And then the second is to really have a bit of a summary from you in terms of, you do a lot of work with entrepreneurs across, a lot of different places and regions. what is it that you see from maybe Latin American entrepreneurs that you don't see in other places?
Well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for inviting me as well. And I really learned a lot. I'm sitting here listening to these fantastic conversations, and from you know, the grassroots, from Vortex and Fernando and his team, right through to Danielle and talking about VC. And of course, I know Javier and Alejandro well, because I met them in Geneva over a year ago at Accelerate 2030, and we had a very interesting and positive journey coming to the UK and looking how to globalize. So I'm here representing the Global Entrepreneur Program, which is a UK initiative. And what we do is we were set up about, I think, 14 years ago by the Innovation Minister to scout the world for the world's best entrepreneurs and see how we can help them internationalize, both in you know, mixing their country with the UK strengths, and to help them, you know, get the funding, access to customers, validation, and give them the credibility. And the thing that's unique about this program is that we're all practitioners. We're not government officials. So all what we call 16 deal makers, we've actually been there. We've built companies. We've had some IPOs. We've had exits. We've had lots of failures, and we've learned, you know, the way forward of how to do things. So we share our knowledge very openly, and it's a free program. We're just looking for talent and great founders, and looking to give them the right opportunities. So we've had some tremendous, you know, companies come through, from TransferWise to Nutmeg, Job and Talent. So we started off mainly getting companies from Commonwealth countries like Australia, India, Canada, some Eastern Europe, but increasingly we really have been incredibly focused on Latin America and Africa and Asia as well, but more than anything, Latin America. And I think a lot of the stuff came through. I think Javier and Alejandro mentioned a lot of good stuff about what are the strengths and what are the problems, and there's opportunities and problems in both. But what I see about Latin America is there's two things. One is there's great talent and great universities and institutions. So the science and technology is impeccable. And you go to Colombia or Mexico or Venezuela, I mean, the actual quality of academic input and talent is really strong. The second thing is the culture, and I think that really stands apart: the passion, the resilience, the creativity coming through. So if you can achieve success in many of these countries, you can exceed success everywhere. So there are serious barriers, there's serious inequalities, there's legal system issues, there's investment issues. And what we're saying is, we're not saying move everything and go to another country. We're saying be international. Think about being international. Think about the benefits that you could have. And by being international, you sit on the benefits of living in or working in Venezuela or in Colombia or in Mexico or wherever. But also you then have access to the corporate customers, to say clinical trials in healthcare, and actually much more sophisticated and pretty much fairer investors that will give you a good valuation for the work that you're doing. And I think, you know, the vibrancy and the energy that's coming out of Latin America is incredible right now, and the UK is very interested in tapping into that and working together with these countries. So I think really interesting to see this great team here that you brought together, Daniel. And don't forget, the one thing I must say is UK is not London. Birmingham is a great city as well. So as Alejandro's noticed, being in Birmingham now, UK is a big country but a small country. I mean, you can get from London to Birmingham 1.5 hours, and what you find, you have probably, what is it, half or 2/3 the cost base of London. You know, you've got so many different manufacturing capabilities, so many great universities. So yeah, we're very keen on showing the whole of the UK and mixing it up. And the last thing I say is sometimes hard, and we bring in so many. I think we brought in about 20-30 Latin American companies have come in the last 3 years for a global entrepreneur program. And one thing is credibility is difficult. So that's where we help. So if we believe in you, we'll open up the doors and we'll put our reputation on the line to help you with customers and help you with venture capital and make you investor ready. So good work. And I think, as Felipe was saying, the best is yet to come from Latin America.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Tony. A question for the wider panel, something that I picked up not only through listening to the talks today, but through the work with with Javier, with Alejandro, conversations with Felipe, and conversations with the Vortex guys is with so many startups and entrepreneurs, social impact and a social conscience around the work that they're doing seems to be a thread that runs through a lot of startups that we see out of Latin America, as well as in terms of, as Tony was saying, knowing they have to maybe go international and expand. What we've seen a lot is situations where they say, okay, we're going to leave our own country, go out and become global, but look, definitely part of our strategy, how we give back to our country, how do we create impact for our country even if we've left. I guess whether the thoughts from the panel, why that is, why do we see that so much in Latin America?
Well, Daniel, I mean, I'll just say from the outside looking in, I'm very much into impact and from clean tech to health and education. And I don't know why it is, but it is tremendously so. I see a much more empathy, understanding of environmental and social issues, and I think there's just a stronger empathy for that, maybe because of the situation. But I'm seeing some excellent impact, environmental and social impact ventures coming out of Latin America, coming through, some of the best in the world.
Was there something you were going to add, Daniel?
Yeah, I was just, I mean, we kind of joke around in our office about the whole impact investing, you know, because I mean, like from insider information, right? Because I'm from Guatemala and I live here, and for us, like creating jobs and putting food on the people's plate is creating impact for our people. Where half of the people of our country suffers from malnutrition, and those are the gaps that actually make the difference. You know, like for example, in Guatemala, I mean, if you don't get the proper nutrients at the early stages when you're developing your brain and other capabilities, if you don't get those core nutrients, your brain is not going to develop the same as everybody around the world, you know. So with that in mind, I believe that yeah, like I was saying, like some people may say that impact investing, it might be just creating jobs in countries like ours, for example. But from the entrepreneur's point of view, I mean, we know there's a lot of opportunity here. Like, I don't remember who was saying that, yeah, it depends on how you see it. Like, there's a lot of trouble, but that means there's a lot of opportunity. Like, there's like the cup is empty, it's half empty, but half full, you know? So it depends on what you're seeing. So I believe that people, like smart entrepreneurs, are like, okay, I mean, it's difficult to make something here. I know that I have to get the capital, to get the know-how, to get the connections, to learn all those things. But I know the opportunity that is back in there. So if I manage to tap that into, I know that is gonna be like a huge opportunity. So from that point of view, I believe that yeah, that it makes sense in terms of the money wise, you know. But also, I do believe that Latin America, and me included, Latin American people, we do love our countries, you know, like we do know we live in paradise, like we have this incredible weather. We know that people is amazing. I mean, don't get us wrong, like we tend to complain because maybe that's how we are, but we love living here. So we are bullish. I mean, I'm taking a bet that everyone here is bullish of their country, and that's why we're here. You know, like trying to push this, moving it forward. So yeah, that's my point on that.
Awesome.
I want to add up something on Daniel and Tony. Totally from the entrepreneur perspective, I seen this trend, including myself, on like entrepreneurs have been trying to build things from outside and then coming back, or people that already get some kind of success in their own countries on tech startups, and now the second company they're building or the third company, they're becoming these serial entrepreneurs because now they have the knowledge, now they know how to put a team together, and also they know a little about the game of fundraising. But now that I can do my second shot, I want to do good. I want to help not only to make a business, but to create impact. For us, for example, we started with Joamo, and right now we're working on these different signals we saw from that community on the trend of micro entrepreneurship. Myself, I'm working on the next venture, which is building a platform to help them start a business right from their home with zero investment. And then uh, a lot of the early conversations we're having with this new challenge is why you guys? Well, the answer is quite simple. I am the son of a micro entrepreneur. My mom used to sell these like catalogs, right? Like selling like little stuff between the neighbors and coworkers. And at the beginning when I was a kid, I was like, well, this is not making a big like impact, right? In my family, I see my mom going there and suffering, like collecting little money. But now that I'm an adult, and also I understand more about the things of economics between these countries, is this extra $100, $200 that a family can get, or $500 that a family can get by the end of the month is a huge difference. It is, as Daniel said, is between eating well that week or no eating, right? It could be this gap between like getting access to be able to go to school or just stay in home without the opportunity. So we're watching more and more, not only by ourselves trying to help micro entrepreneurs in Latin America, but more entrepreneurs like tech entrepreneurs trying to give back because now they have the network and the knowledge to do it.
In Brazil, we have 12 unicorn startups. We have a new one that is Vitex, is a cloud commerce. But to talk about the impact, society, the social impact, we have a fintech here that named Nubank. This is about this credit card. And in this pandemic moment, the Nubank expand a lot of credit cards for the population, because in Brazil, the population don't have credit cards or bank account. And this made a big difference for poor people and don't bankerized people, because if you don't have a bank account, you don't have a lot of beneficials of this. And it's a good social impact from Nubank for us Brazilians.
I add something in. Hello, people. Sorry. Just for some context, I head up venture at Beck, so I do work with Daniel and Omran, but I'm coming from this from a different angle because my main company is something called Kaiku. So we work with about 250 funds globally, supporting seed Series A investment, and we're part of UTech Ventures in Peru at the moment, which is one of the leading accelerators there. And I have a co-founder in Panama. So I'm coming from it from a different end. So I'm always looking at, I suppose, the perspective of tech funds over there, and work with a good 30 in the region as well at the moment. And I think it's really sort of prominent what you're saying about the sort of more social, environmental, because all my world's tech and software and things like that. But maybe this is a question more for Daniel, and I'm not open to everyone, is how much do you think that the funds and the LPs that you see coming into the region are actually really focused on this? Because having, a quarter of LATAM's, sort of funding last year dealt by one deal in Rappi from SoftBank is not a good, sort of pivot of focus point in terms of where money's going in the region. Yes, there's more coming from the US. I'm on a trade mission to the City of London Corporation this week to the US, and this is something that's come up with a lot of, is talking about how do we get this money more into emerging markets. There's more US LPs going in there as well. But I suppose the question is how much more of that money is actually going into where the need needs to go.
Well, I try to believe that, like I was saying, I come from a libertarian point of view in terms of free market, and I'm going to say, like, theoretically, money will find its way towards the best resources. And how that may sound like cliche, I know, but I do believe it's like that. I mean, like, right now, for example, there's a company called Hugo, which is it's based from El Salvador. It's a multi-delivery fighting with Globo, with Uber Eats, with Rappi even, against all odds, if you may, because why are you, a company based in El Salvador, trying to eat in from the Colombian guys at Rappi that just raised $1 billion? Like, really? However, they have focused on try. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be successful, but they have raised money and they are currently doing okay. They are focusing on reaching the Central America part. You know, like it's kind of a fragmented market. However, we are almost all the same. So I'm guessing there's a lot of opportunity for whoever like gets to reach Central America as a whole market. You know, like for example, if Hugo, it's the number 2 player in Guatemala, in El Salvador, in Honduras, in Nicaragua, in Costa Rica, that makes the market like interesting as the Colombian market, for example. So now a company or a fund may be interesting in, okay, I'm gonna acquire this small company that focus on this in order to just clip it out to the big company, you know. So what I'm saying is that there is opportunity in the lack of opportunity, you know. There's a lot of really smart guys like trying to make the Central America one market, and there you got space for fintech companies, for tech companies. I mean, like ed tech companies, for example. There's a huge opportunity here. Like again, like Felipe was saying, like this the whole troubles and lack of opportunities make those opportunities interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of money I mean, not a lot of money, but there's money in Central America that you just have to tap into that, you know, like the money that you move in public markets that is all cash, you know, from the agriculture guys and the farming guys. That's a lot of money running through there. Like, you would be surprised with that. And it's just there, you know, like just changing hands, not having that investing culture, or like you guys were saying, the lack of banking, the lack of all these new perspective that you might get. We lack all of that. So I do believe that that smart money can reach, you know, like the places that it's needed. However, I do know that the local players are a key and they're instrumental for that. For example, in Brazil, even that we're in the same continent. I mean, LATAM and Brazil, it's like 2 different markets. I mean, there are a lot of investors that don't go into Brazil. I mean, like LATAM investor, us, for example, still don't have a company in Brazil, even though we know it's a huge market and we see a lot of fintechs there. But we just don't know the market, and I mean, with all respect to Fernando and the guys from Brazil here, it's complicated. I mean, and what you hear is that it's complicated, that you need a local partner because there are a lot of not so good stories about business being made there. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that is also an opportunity for people like us to try to be those local players and being able to understand our region and tell you like, okay, that's not the approach, you know, like you have to focus on this or maybe that, and yeah, all with the same common base of pulling this, you know.
I'd love to talk all night about this because there's usually
to the guys from Brazil. What's your take on that? How much does the language play on that as well? That you mentioned that obviously you guys are the only country that speak Portuguese. How much does that play a role in that kind of isolation of Brazil?
So in Brazil, we have São Paulo, that is the biggest city in Latin America. And in São Paulo, we have a lot of capital, a lot of money, and a lot of startups too. São Paulo is the biggest concentration of money and startups. Bruna lived in another state in Brazil. She lives in Minas Gerais, and she can speak how different is this money speed, the money series here. But in Sao Paulo, we have basically the 12 offices of unicorns. And this is a little difficult to explain to another person, but the startups go and down to another countries. So Log is a transportation startup that do Latin American transportation, but another that is 99 taxes. It's the first startup to be a unicorn in Brazil. They come to Colombia and Venezuela, but they didn't do the adaptation of the operations to scale in these countries. So this is a different thing in Brazil that other countries in Latin America that normally like happy do business in all of Latin America. And Brazil is a little different, I think. Nubank that I mentioned preview have done some points of business in other countries in Latin America, but that I heard in the interview of this CEO, they don't have the whole business in the other countries like in Brazil. So I think it's because Brazil is a huge market, like Daniel spoke, and this.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. To ask a different question, from a different angle, what is the perception of an entrepreneur in your country? So, if you said you're going to be an entrepreneur as a choice of career, is that something that people aspire to? Is it something that people tend to discourage people from doing? Javier, do you want to start us off with that? Unmute first.
Sure. Yes. I think that in countries in troubles like Venezuela, Bolivia, etc., being an entrepreneur is the only option to reach the balance stage in terms of revenues, access to health services, security services, and even live well. Here in Venezuela, people stop to watch politicians promises fight to keep or reach the power. People look how to innovate, how to create something new, how to solve the problem and being profitable. In Venezuela, people forget about the oil industry that in the past made us a rich country. It doesn't exist right now. But there are emerging industry like alcohol and distillers. Venezuela right now is export room chocolates. And maybe in next year, we will see again Venezuelan coffee in the international markets like 20 years ago. So, to be honest, be an entrepreneur here in Venezuela, yes, we got some admiration from the people.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else want to give a perspective on that?
Here in Brazil is a little bit different because we have a culture where people try to work for other companies where they can win a nice amount of money and they can have like their weekends and their vacations. So when you say you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's like you're going to work 48 hours a day. So not too much people going this way. And we have a lot of bureaucracy. Also, what makes the life of an entrepreneur a little more difficult, and a lot of taxes. So if I have like someone working for me, I will pay the salary of the person and almost the same amount of money in taxes and everything. So it's not that easy. So we can see that a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, they are little entrepreneurs because they don't have another option. So they go in this way and they discover that it's good and they can live in this life. But although our universities are good, our basic education is not so good. So a lot of these people don't have some tools and maybe don't know how to increase their business and make it better. So we can see now there are a lot of innovation in the universities, a lot of startups getting born, a lot of ideas, startup weekends and everything. So we can see that it's changing. It's changing from the past. 5 years back, it was a lot different. But I believe nowadays the entrepreneurship has becoming a little more like an option to people and to young people who want working something that they love, not only for the money. So here in Brazil, things are getting better, although our bureaucracy and taxes remain the same. So, but we're trying, and I believe we are more optimistic in this subject.
Awesome. Felipe.
Sure. So in Mexico, it's been changing lately. I can tell in the last 10, 15 years, I remember this concept of 9 to 5ers. In Mexico, we call them godines, which is a last name, and then people identify themselves as a godin because they want the safety net that it is created by a corporate job. So similar to the situation that Bruno was describing, but also the whole thing is getting like a rock star-ish in the last few years. So it's more like it's from the Bruna perspective to the Javier perspective now. Most of us don't have another option but being an entrepreneur, and this micro entrepreneurship plus the tech entrepreneurship is getting combined, and now is getting this new concept created like an entrepreneur is someone that can change their reality, and it's becoming cool. A lot of programs like TV media supported um, are pushing this concept of like being an entrepreneur is cool, and also you can change the industry you are in, or like you can also create a big impact. So I think TV and radio and newspapers, pretty much the mainstream is getting like this new concept, like being entrepreneur is cool. It has a little detail culturally in Mexico, and I think with some of my friends in Colombia, failure is not accepted. So this is a big change. I see people nodding right now. So my experience in Silicon Valley just gave me another chip, because I took all of this knowledge like quite early in my career. So I'm really happy trying things and breaking them, right? If it doesn't work, you have the chance to go for the next one and the next one. And then my supporters, my investors were also, well, with this mindset. But I have a couple of Latin American investors in my current company. And you can see the big shift in mentality. In this is like, I don't know, you are reporting bad numbers this month. Are you okay? And then you feel different, the judgment behind it. It's not like, okay, you tested, go for the next one. And I'm not the only one. Also, culturally, if you are a micro entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, but especially the micro entrepreneurs, if you try something new and you fail, well, they don't remember the effort. They just remember that I don't want to say the word loser, but most of them think about that. So in the society is a big tax that you need to pay to fail. And I hope this one change quickly with more and more role models that were failing a lot and then finally they hit it. But the reality today is like you cannot fail.
That's super
Yeah, I
interesting.
just
Daniel.
want to add exactly what you guys were saying, and the micro entrepreneur. I like that concept, but yeah, I tend to divide that in people that they say they're entrepreneur but are like self-employed. You know, like, I mean, if I just I'm selling some stuff and it's just me working for that, I don't know if I call myself an entrepreneur, you know, like, or like Felipe was saying, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, and it's like a buzzword, and we're trying to do this, but it's a lonely road, you know, like being entrepreneur is it's not easy. I mean, and I don't think if a lot of people that jump into that, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, like being an entrepreneur is something that it's been forever, you know, like businessmen are have been forever. So for us investors in the region, it's difficult also to 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 make entrepreneurs understand that just because you're launching like something and you're self-employed or whatever, that doesn't make you an investment material, if you may. Like, the asset class of venture capital works in a way, you know, like parallel distribution, like you're trying to get a huge, you invest in order to get a huge return on that investment. So you're trying to invest in companies that have the potential, or at least the entrepreneurs like can look at the sky and say, oh yeah, I need to do this and this, and that I will get to that point. That is something that you don't see quite much here. Like, if, for example, if I'm a pitch and I talk to someone that can pinpoint all their roadmap to where he wants to be, like, I'm thrilled. I mean, that's the kind of things that I want to be part of. But that's not the story here. A lot of people are like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but what happens? Have you thought like in a series A, in a series B, like all this roadmap that you may need? So many times the answer is no. So yeah, that is also kind of a pain for the investments in the region.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that. Graham, you've got your hand up. Do you have a question? Maybe. If you'd like to unmute, you will have to ask a question.
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. Just sorting out my screen here. Yeah, I think here in Colombia, I'm based in Colombia. I have a fintech company of 20 years old, slightly different. And I think one of the big things here in Latin America is precisely that. The business growth and progression is very often different than in other areas of the world. I'm British. I came down here 20 years ago and I started the company, and we're still going strong today. We work in IT. We have a debt collections ecosystem and platform for financial companies. And everybody nowadays wants to be an entrepreneur here in Colombia. Anybody who's a university student, who has anything to do with technology, everybody wants to set up their fintech, their the latest apps. They want to do something related. I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, that's what every youngster wants to be nowadays here. They want to be a fintech entrepreneur or some sort of IT-based, technology-based entrepreneur. And that's great. But I think it would be great for a lot of these youngsters to get some experience. We've been actually contracting a lot of people recently because we're, of course, with the COVID, we're growing a lot because a lot of people are not paying off their credit cards and their financial instruments, whatever they have. And what we're finding is there are a lot of actual youngsters that we're contracting who have no real experience out there because they left the university and they said, I'm going to be the new Zoom or the new Uber or whatever else. And they might have some really good ideas, but they are lacking execution and experience. So I think it's a really good idea that down here there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of raw material to do stuff. There's a lot of opportunities, and that's one of the things that attracted me down here when I was over 20 years ago, when I started the business, was that there was so much to do. There are so many gaps in the market because there's a lot of needs and a lot of people without things in like in the UK. And so when we started, actually, within the first 6 months, we already had one of the biggest banks in the country as one of our customers. And we were a company of 5 people, and we were 6 months old. Yeah. So there are a lot of opportunities. Entrepreneur, I think everybody wants to be one down here. But as Danielle said, there is a lot of, it's difficult down here because there is not so much capital financing available. So a lot of people are having to have had to bootstrap, or they're bringing the capital and the financing from other countries where it's more easily available. And I think that's a real shame. You know, I think if we could build down here in Latin America some really good local regional VCs and schemes to actually get a lot of these companies off the ground, then you know, it would be a great thing to help the region and the market down here, because there are a lot of opportunities, and the opportunities here in many ways are different from what you would see in Europe or Latin America, because the needs are different.
Thank you, Graham, for sharing that. That's really insightful. I'm sure there's a lot there that the panel agree with, and from some of the things that they presented, there's certainly those opportunities happening. I'm conscious that we're running over time, and that we could, as Alex said earlier, continue speaking about this for quite a while, because I know you all have a lot to say. What I want to do is quickly whip around the panel, just a 1 minute, just closing remark. Should we start with Javier?
Well, thank you for this space to talk about agri-cognitive and our ecosystem here in Venezuela. It's small, but it's growing. So it's exciting. See the play from the same place where the things are coming, are happening. So thank you for the time to give you a voice from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Javier. Felipe?
Sure, thank you guys for the invitation. Also, be able to share with all the like-minded people. It feels great to, for a moment, feel like Daniel described. This is a lonely road, and sometimes you feel like you're trying to change the world and you don't have many people to talk about. In the Latin American perspective, I want to include that the region is ready. I mean, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, not only the ones in this panel, but a lot of people that were ready like 10 years ago. They were doing it from long time ago with a lot of experience. Just now, we are getting this perfect storm between market digitalization and funding flowing. But the talent is there. You just need to check a little with a different hat, like the perspective of how they are solving the problems. You cannot expect entrepreneurs looking similar to what you are used to in Silicon Valley or Europe or UK. We look a little different because the solutions are really creative, as Tony described. Thank you.
Awesome. Daniel?
Yes, thank you, Daniel, for the invitation. Also, great experience and great to meet you all, you guys. Also, yeah, I mean, it's a lonely road for entrepreneurs, but also that's the importance of activities like this, and getting to know each other, and getting to share some inspiration. And like I like to say, like, we are creating sparks here, talking, and you can feel like the energy in a way. So yeah, thank you, and keep doing it, keep moving forward, and yeah, just keep doing it.
Awesome. Tony?
Oh, great. I think it was really insightful. And I'd say just two things, really. There's a big push and a pull of the youth and the talent, pushing on to do things, but there's also barriers which are going to be there to stay for a long time, which is some cultural ones, some political, some legal. So I think maybe going with Daniel and Felipe, co-investment will be good. So in other words, you bring best practice of certain funds and certain people. And the co-investors of Mexican or Colombian investors would then follow the mechanism of how to be a proactive, positive investor rather than a negative, bureaucratic investor. And the other thing is just think internationally, and the money you get from an international expansion will trickle down always back into R&D and operations in your domestic country, because that's an advantage for you. So yeah, that's my feedback.
Awesome, thank you, Tony. And we'll finally finish. Fernando, Marcelo, Bruna, closing word.
I want to thank you guys for today. It was amazing. It is always amazing meet many entrepreneurs, and even better when it's here from our continent, so beautiful, with so much necessity of solutions for these people. So I want to thank you guys, and it was amazing.
Thank you. It was a good experience to know more about Latin America. I always learning about our continent because it's so big. It's so different cultures. I went to a special thank for Daniel to invite us and help us with Vortex. And I will put the contact of Vortex on the chat if you want to talk with us or do something.
Okay.
I would like to say that I'm grateful for the invitation, and it was an amazing experience to talk with you and listen all the different visions you have about entrepreneurship and all the problems you are facing and stuff. So I would like to thank this. I'm really grateful. And like Fernando said, if you have any questions and want to contact us here in Brazil, our email is in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. And from me, finally, thank you very much, guys, for coming in and joining. Thank you so much to our speakers, our panelists. Such fantastic insights. I've certainly thoroughly enjoyed the past almost 2 hours. If anybody wants to pick up with any of the speakers, I know some of them have shared contact details. You can always come through us, reach back out to Birmingham Enterprise Community. We'll be more than happy to put you in touch. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your days. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.